I make it an entertaining experience because part of educating is having fun while you're learning, and with these incredible animals. And most of the animals, 80% of the animals that we utilize are rescues, and about 20% are zoo bred. We used to do, before the economy took a hit, we used to do a lot more with SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, Jack Hanna, Columbus Zoo, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. We still do some of those gigs, but not like we used to. With the economy taking the hit as it has, our show schedule has been quite down, compared to our overhead, just keeps rising. So we've been forced to place out a few animals, but God provides what we need, not necessarily what we want. So we're still rolling along, doing a lot of shows. I just did a show a couple weeks ago out in Costa Mesa, California. Did a science expo in Chapel Hill the other day. Did a Upward basketball banquet at our church, Richland Creek.
Yes, on Friday.
Yeah. So we're keeping busy, still doing some birthday parties here and there. But yeah, we're just plugging along.
Excellent, excellent. Then this experience that you have been, with these new animals, you said some of them are from places, from families that they don't want to take care of them because they cannot manage these animals. How do you start the training, or how do you start, this approach to these animals that you don't know what is going to happen?
Well, that's a great question. That's the question everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah.
I just got a call from somebody the other day that, well, actually an email, I haven't talked to him yet, that wants to hire me as a consultant because they have a pet monkey. We never promote any wild exotic animal as a pet. Not that there aren't good pet owners out there. That's not the case. The case is that most wild exotic animals don't make good pets. They take special attention. Their diet, their housing, just their care overall. Their veterinary care. Not every veterinarian is capable of treating a wild or exotic animal. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of special needs that have to be taken into consideration when you become responsible for a wild or exotic animal. Mm-hmm. So we like to promote going to a local animal shelter, rescue a dog or a cat. I mean, a lot of people talk about, there's so many wild exotic animals that need homes. They're a fraction of the number of animals that need homes compared to dogs and cats. I mean, dogs and cats are definitely the biggest victims in the pet trade that need homes. There are literally millions of dogs and cats that need homes on any given day. Mm-hmm. There are exotic animals that need homes, but they're a fraction compared to the dogs and cats. Every animal is an individual, even when you're talking about specific species. You approach different animals in different ways. And then, this monkey may act different than this monkey, even though they're the same species, because they're individuals. And oftentimes it just depends on what they've encountered anyway. A lot of animals have a lot of ground surrendered for them in the beginning, neglect and abuse and poor dietary issues. The 3 animals I'm going to share with you tonight are all 3 rescues from the pet trade. They were previous pets. And again, I'm not against having pets. I'm against ignorant pet owners. If you're going to get any kind of pet, you need to really do the research and make sure that you're the right home for that creature. Do you have the resources to take care of it in its proper diet? Do you have the know-how? Do you have the experience? Do you have the veterinarian that can take care of your medical needs? Mm-hmm. There's so much that goes into it. There's really not a nutshell answer for that, because even when you're talking about different types of creatures, then you have to deal with that one animal where it is at that point in its life. Say, for instance, the monkey that's going to come out here. He was from a really horrible situation. I got a call, and, the place that I took him out of, I wouldn't let my dog walk through, let alone sleep in. The people weren't even living there at the time. It was a huge bust. And the house was condemned, and this thing was locked in a back bedroom. And it was a really horrible situation. He's clean as far as his blood work and all that, but he's been quite a challenge. My dad is my right-hand man, And you know, this guy laid my dad open 3 times in the process of us training, because my dad's in the hot seat. You know, he's the second guy in command when it comes to the animals, and you know, he's been bitten severely 3 times by this animal. You know, I haven't been, fortunately, thank God, bit by him, but he looks at me as the dominant figure. And you see, monkeys, when we work monkeys think about a few things. They think about who's getting the best food and who's deciding where we're going and that kind of thing. They're a dominance factor. They're a hierarchy. They're concerned about moving up the ladder so they can take control. So they need to look at who's in the hot seat to take on, to climb that ladder. Say, for instance, if I let that monkey out and roam around this room right now, the first person that he's going to take on is the youngest in the room. And he's going to start off with the children. So he's going to go with our cute little blessing of a girl over here, and then he's going to go to stomp on the little boy, and then he's going to go to one of you ladies, because that's how they think, and they know that you're ladies. So to work a monkey as an adult, as a woman, is much more difficult than for a man. For a child, forget about it. Once they become mature, it's over with. The fun and games is over. Once they're old enough to be off of a bottle, they're not going to wear diapers anymore. They're not. I mean, it's not a good pet. And you know, I'm right with you folks at home. I was the same way when I was a kid. I always said, oh, I'd love to have a monkey as a pet, because I hear that all the time in what I do. Oh, I'd love to have a monkey as a pet. I'd love to have a monkey as a pet. No, you don't. A monkey is like one of the worst pets that you could dream about having. Less a lion or a tiger or a bear. Oh my! You know, those are kind of animals that are going to eat you. But a monkey, you know, when they're looking to move up the ladder, they're going to bite your fingers, your nose, scratch your eyeballs. I mean, that's how they settle things, with their teeth. You know, they're not little people. You know, we're the only part of creation created in God's image, according to His likeness. We're the only ones with a complex brain to analyze and cognitively break things down in a intellectual type of way. You know, no gorilla or chimpanzee is ever going to read a book or really do sign language. You know, we can train them to look like little people, but they're not people. They're animals.
Excellent. Incredible. You know, we think, oh, this is so cute, you know, this animal, but then we realize that whatever you are saying is really true. You know, it's something that they belong to the, you know, to the la selva, you know, to the woods, you know, some of them.
Yeah, they belong in the wild. But of course that would entail a perfect world, and we know we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in a perfect world there wouldn't even be zoos. And I'm a zoo fan. I've been to lots of zoos in the world. And I love most of them. Some of them I don't care so much for, but you know, for the most part, I love zoos. But you know, the simple fact is that the animals really belong out in the wild. But again, that would entail a perfect world. And you know, these animals, if we were to let them go back out into the wild, they would not survive. Like Free Willy, you know, oh, let's free Willy, let's free Willy. You know, Free Willy died because they were, you know, really forced to free Willy. And, you know, they should have never freed Willy. Willy died because he was a captive animal. And, you know, you let that animal go out into the wild, and he doesn't know, he doesn't have a pod, he doesn't have the know-how to take care of himself. You know, that's the sad thing about it.
Incredible. Well, we are excited. The kids want to see our first guest.
All right. Well, let me grab him.
Yes, okay.
It's a creature that I actually, a friend of mine, my sister facility out in Northern California, he rescued this animal out there. He already had about 4 of these, and he asked me if I wanted to take one of them. And when I did a show, I actually went out to LA to do the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and I rode back with this guy in a cat crate under my seat in first class. So he's actually flown first class before. It's pretty funny. But when I rescued him, though, he was about the size of his tail. He was much smaller.
How many years you have?
Oh, that was just 4 years ago.
Oh.
But see, the problem is when people get a lizard like this, you know, oftentimes when they get it, it's about this big. It's very small. And, you know, you start out by feeding it pinky mice. And then after pinky mice, he graduates to hopper mice. And then after hopper mice, they graduate to rat pups, little rats. And then hopper rats. And then bigger mice. And then bigger rats. And then, you know, and so on and so on. Now this creature, he's eating very large rats, 2 to 3 at a time. And he eats every 3 to 5 days. And the problem is as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, they take more room. They take more room and they take more food. And, you know, it's not cheap, okay, to feed this creature. And oftentimes what happens is somebody to cut down on the price of the food, they'll start feeding it things that aren't really good for it, like wet cat food and wet dog food. And then they'll develop metabolic bone disease. When I rescued this creature, it was extremely emaciated, very lethargic. Right now, he's just, you know, enjoying the heat from the lamps up here. We coat him with some vitamin E oil. Okay. And that helps his skin. And you know, these lizards, they shed skin in pieces, unlike a snake will shed in one big piece if it's healthy. If the snake's not healthy, it'll shed in pieces. But you know, the early signs of metabolic bone disease are broken toes. Metabolic bone disease is the deterioration of the bones because of lack of calcium, and that's from poor diet. On each of this guy's feet, he's got at least 1 or 2 toes that have been broken since I got him. You can see the twisted ones here. Yes. Those are broke. That, you know, reptiles are silent sufferers. They don't really show their symptoms of suffering from an issue. That's one of the early signs of a lizard. If you've got a lizard and you start seeing him breaking toes real easy, one of the common victims are iguanas. Iguanas are a big victim in the pet trade. People get them and they don't really know how to take care of them, and they start breaking their toes, and that's because they've got brittle bones. They don't have enough calcium in their diet. This creature, totally a meat eater. He's not a veg head at all. He doesn't eat fruits and veggies. Long claws, he can climb trees, eat birds, eat eggs. He doesn't crack them open, scramble them up. He'll eat the egg whole. He can process the shell. He's got a very powerful tail. If you want to come over here and feel this, run your finger down this tail like this. Yeah. Okay, feel how sharp that is? Yeah. Now, very carefully, don't put any pressure, but run your finger just a little bit that way and feel that now. Wow. Now that's sharp, huh? Yes. They can use this to stun their prey. They also use it for defense, but they can also use that tail for locomotion. You know, it also helps them to run fast. Despite the way he's acting right now, he's a very fast creature. He's got a very, very hardcore bite, very powerful bite. It'd be like taking a pair of channel locks and grabbing a hold of you and just squeezing as hard as you can, only with about, you know, 150 spiny teeth. Wow. It's a relative of the Komodo dragon. He's got a very toxic saliva, almost like a venom type of saliva. Wow. And he's just very powerful. Let me show you. Like a snake, he's got a special sense of smell with his tongue. Okay, yeah. He's got a really long tongue. Wow. Yeah, it's not even sticking it out all the way, but yeah, he's got a really long that tongue, what it is kind of like a computer disk, and he sticks that out. And he catches scent. He catches scent floating around in the air, and he grabs out a hole on his tongue, and then he sticks it back into his mouth and plugs it into a special organ in the roof of his mouth called a Jacobson's organ, and it processes it and tells him if it's something good to eat. Yeah. I think you fed him, right? Huh? You fed him? Oh, yeah, I fed him. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, he has a big belly. Yeah, he's not looking for any food right now. He's actually enjoying the heat from the lights, right? Reptiles, very different creatures. They're ectothermic. They rely on the heat from the sun. When they've got heat, you know, they'll bask in the sun, and that helps to digest the food. If reptiles don't have heat, they won't eat. Wow. Because the food would sit in their stomach and rot. And that's why we don't see any of our local snakes and lizards right now, because they're hibernating. Wow. This guy, he's from Africa. He's called the black-throated monitor lizard. Wow. Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, I have two tortoises at home, and I said, oh my God, what? They are not eating, they are dead, they are dead. And then I went to the internet, and I realized that they are
hibernating.
Yeah, I said, oh my God, I didn't know that, but that was from my son. He brought it, and it's a big one, and one is a small one. But you're right, you know, they don't eat.
Yeah, they chill during the wintertime. Yeah. And we've had a very mild winter so far. Yeah, that's Matter of fact, you know, my dad and I, we brought all the animals out. We have two facilities. We have a 20-acre farm outside of Wake Forest. And we have an indoor facility that has a heated tropical barn for the tropical animals during the wintertime. And then we have an outdoor facility. Well, today we got to put everybody out because the weather this week is supposed to be great. 70s during the week, mid-70s during the week. And then at night it's only getting down into the mid-50s or lower 50s at the most. And so most of the animals get to stay out. Well, today I was walking by the alligator pond where the big alligator who came last time, Augie, and he blasted out of the water, smacking his jaws, and that means that he's ready to eat. He hasn't eaten since October. Wow. And typically during this time of year, he wouldn't start eating till the end of April, beginning of May. Wow. Because he's hibernating. Yeah. But with this mild winter, you know, he didn't go into a deep hibernative state like he typically would. Yeah. So he's ready to start eting right now. Yeah. Oh God.
Well, let's see our other guest.
You ready for another creature?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Well, let me grab another creature.
Ooh. Well, let's see. Well, Mr. Dan has been in television shows. He has been has been participating in a lot of movies. And we have some of titles over here. Dan, can you tell us, you know, a few titles of your movies?
I did the movies where the chimpanzee plays ice hockey, skateboards, snowboards, and the last chimp movie. The last chimp movie I did, he was a spy that did martial arts. That was called Spy Mate. The skateboarding and hockey movie was called Most Vertical Primate. And then the snowboarding movie was called MXP, Most Extreme Primate. If you've got Netflix, you can order those off Netflix, or you can go to Amazon.com and order them off the internet. But they're good, wholesome kid movies. But I want to caution you, you know, we make those animals look like they're little people. I don't do that kind of work anymore. But, you know, I'm not sad that I ever did it because I got an incredible wealth of experience by doing those movies. And I still actually get calls to do movies like that still to this day. The last one I filmed back in 2003. But, you know, I'm an educator now. I do train, but not so much to make animals look like little people. I just don't want to confuse people and make you think that I believe that we came from chimpanzees, because we didn't. You know, God's Word says that He created us in His image according to His likeness. We didn't come from a monkey or an ape.
That's right.
This is Mikey. Mikey is called a vervet monkey. Look at this, Mikey. Look, this is so funny. I brought a treat for him. This is a granola bar, a banana peanut butter chocolate chewy granola bar. Look, kids, and it's called a monkey bar. It's got a little monkey on it.
That means belongs to him, right?
Yeah, I wonder if he'll like it. I like them, actually. I had one earlier, and they're very tasty. Look at that. You want one of these? Now, when I start to feed him this, I want you to notice something. These guys have their own built-in lunch boxes, okay? And these guys run in big troops in Africa. It's called the vervet monkey. And they have big troops, you know, 50, 75 monkeys in a troop. And they have these special lunch boxes. See this right here? See the sides of his cheeks? He's filling it up. Now, he's not nervous right now. For one, my dad, my right-hand man's with me tonight. Plus, I'm here, and he reads me. He's reading my dad, making sure that we feel comfortable. Good boy. Yep. See, he's got his cheek pouches filling up there. So he's eating. But in the wild, when they come across a food source, they don't all eat it. They don't all eat at once. Some of them will look out. Some of them will be watching for predators, because hawks, eagles, cheetahs, lions, hyenas, jackals, African hunting dogs, they'll take these monkeys down and eat them. But so they'll have a lookout, and then others will sit there and gobble up as much food from the food source as they can. But they'll first fill up their cheek pouches. He can fit a whole banana in each of his cheek pouches. They stretch so large. So he'll fill those cheek pouches first in the wild, and then he will begin to eat other food. And then they'll switch. They get their cheek pouches full, they'll switch. The guards will now eat, and the ones that have already eaten will guard the rest of the troop. And if a predator comes in and they have a problem, then they'll be able to split and go to higher ground, maybe cliff sides or in the trees, and they'll be able to eat what's left in their lunch boxes. Pretty neat, huh?
Excellent.
Yeah, that didn't happen by chance, did it? No. How can a pouch decide on its own to grow itself, right? A non-intelligent process cannot look into the future and say, hey, I would be a lot more successful if I could just develop my cheek pouches, and then I would be able to live longer because I'd be able to get more food, and you know what I mean? It's just, yeah.
God made everything perfect.
God made everything the way He did. He designed this creature to be what it is and do what it does, and that's what it does really well, to the glory of God. Look at this. He's got a nice tail. This is for balance. This creature, a lot of people think, monkeys live in the trees. Monkeys live in the trees. Not all monkeys live in the trees. This monkey's half and half, really. It's really more of a ground-dwelling monkey or terrestrial monkey, but he's got this long tail to give him balance when he's jumping through the trees. But if he's guarding the rest of the troop while they're eating, and he sees a threat, he'll start to signal everybody, oh no, eagle, 6 o'clock, run. And everybody splits up, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He's got great camouflage. He's got great camouflage to blend into the savannas of Africa. These guys are not endangered. If you remember last year when I came, I believe I brought either a gibbon ape or a black and white rough lemur. Those are both critically endangered creatures. This guy here, you could go to Africa tomorrow and get a $50 permit and kill as many as you want. I personally like them, but in Africa, they're considered vermin, like we would consider a raccoon or a fox as vermin. They spread disease, they come in, they wreck the local crops, they'll raid villages, because these guys run in big troops, 50, 75 monkeys. They come in and they just wreak havoc. So yeah, they're not endangered at all. But an amazing animal. But again, this animal doesn't make a good pet. This is the animal I was talking about that I rescued, and then during the training process, he attacked my dad 3 times.
Wow.
I mean, I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, and I've got primates are my forte. If I don't consider myself as an expert on anything, but if I were to say where my expertise lies, it would be primates. That's what I have the most experience with: chimpanzees, orangutans, baboons, all kinds of guenon-like monkeys, a lot of different primates. But they definitely, it would be the worst kind of pet you could ever imagine. Yes. Because once the bottle and the diapers are over with, once they don't need you to nurse you. He's looking at himself on the monitor. Isn't that funny? He's enjoying that monkey bar, though. Let me see. I've also got some craisins here. No, you don't want those craisins, huh? He's like, no, thank you. This is grooming. A lot of people see monkeys doing this to each other. They always think that they're picking bugs off each other. These guys they're actually very clean if they're where they belong, out in the wild. Okay. They're not clean in your house, okay? They're not PT. Once they don't wear a diaper anymore, they're going to go all over your house. They're going to tear your stuff off your walls and break things. They're not clean creatures in the house because that's not where they belong. Out in the wild, they can go anywhere they want, right? So they don't have to worry about, staying clean or being potty trained, okay? But these guys, when they groom each other and they're doing this kind of thing, they're 9 times out of 10 picking off dander or dry skin, and they smack their lips. Look how he gets really relaxed when I smack my lip.
Wow.
That's just a social behavior. That's what they do to make it. It's kind of like when we give each other a hug, right? Makes us feel loved and secure. Well, monkeys, they groom each other when they want to make each other feel secure, okay? And it's just a social behavior.
Wow.
Very important, though, in a primate life.
Excellent.
Yeah, neat animal, huh?
Wow.
It's called the African vervet monkey.
Yeah.
It's from the guenon family. There's a lot of different types of this creature, but he's also known as the green monkey because of the green color of his fur.
He's relaxed.
Yeah, he is relaxed. Yeah, he's very relaxed. But that took about 6 months of training to get him to accept us. Like I said, each and every animal is an individual, so they're all different. Some take longer than others. Some are never trainable. I mean, we have several animals at our sanctuary that are what we call liability animals. All they do is eat, and you can't take them out because they're too dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our goal is when we rescue an animal, we would like to incorporate them into our educational program. That way they can help support the rest of the sanctuary, because it's a massive overhead. Animals are a lot of responsibility.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, Dan, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And what is our last guest?
You want to see another one?
Yes,
Okay, come on, good boy. Oh, let me just touch base on his ball real quick. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Come here. Look. See the ball that's in his hands? I'm sure. Hey, leave it. I'm sure you saw it at home already. You see his cute little ball here? That's his favorite toy in the world, that ball right there. Okay? Now, if you went to grab that ball, he would bite you in a heartbeat. But look, he's threatening the kids over there already. Look, or no, somebody he's threatening. I don't know who he's threatening. But watch this. I'm going to hold on to him so you don't have to worry. I'm going to toss this ball to you. This isn't even his ball. This is our squirrel monkey's ball, okay? But this isn't even his ball. But watch what happens when I throw it to you. Watch this. Here, grab it. Go ahead, pick it up. I got him. Now look. See that? See, now he's threatening you. See, now he's talking to you. You know why? Because what's a monkey's is a monkey's, and what's yours is a monkey's. Yeah, he doesn't care if it's not even his.
Oh my God.
But it's okay, I got him. But he wants that ball right now. Okay, you can give it to me. Yep, see what I mean? And that's why before we even started this interview, I told Rosalie, when the monkey's out here, don't even come near me. Don't touch me in a friendly gesture like, hey, how's it going? None of that, because, these guys, when they're mature, it's all over with. When they're little babies and vulnerable, oh, it's cute and all, but they don't make good pets. And that's not just this kind of monkey. That's any monkey.
Wow.
All right, good boy. Come.
I didn't mean to offend you.
Come on. All right. Good boy.
Well, Mr. Dan has been with the President Bush, our previous president, former president, and he has been in a lot of television shows, and with Jay Leno. Talk to us about Jay Leno.
Yeah, Regis and Kelly, Good Morning America.
Oh my God, that one is huge. Oh Lord, that's beautiful.
All right, this is a Burmese python. This is an albino Burmese python. You would never see a snake this large that's albino out in the wild. Albinism, the lack of pigment, would make this animal susceptible to predators. You know, it has no camouflage. It's a Burmese python, so if it had its typical coloration, it would have a green, black, brown, a little bit of yellow in it. Mikey's not happy about the snake. He's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, because, you know, in the wild, he knows, he instinctively knows, you know, because he's programmed, he's pre-programmed to know. I mean, he's never had the threat of a python coming after him in his life. But instinctively, he knows that that is a problem, that is a threat to him.
Okay.
In the wild of Africa, it'd be an African rock python or a reticulated python. This is a Southeast Asian snake, and it's nowhere near full grown. This thing will get 15 plus feet. This animal was a rescue after it attacked a guy who was feeding a rat, and this is a big common problem in captivity when people feed rats by hand. You know, these captive snakes aren't finely tuned, and so, you know, it's not a good thing to feed captive snakes live creatures, okay? It's not only inhumane, but you're risking having a veterinarian bill by doing that because they're not finely tuned creatures to hunt their own food. You know, I rescued this animal, and the first thing they said is, oh, it won't eat dead. It won't eat pre-killed animals. We get all of our whole prey off the internet from the Gourmet Rodent out of Gainesville, Florida. It's shipped to us on dry ice through UPS. And when I rescued this animal, brought it home, put it in an enclosure, and threw in 3 large rats with it. In the morning, they were gone. Okay, and you know, those are thawed out rats, right? It's a misconception that these snakes won't eat pre-killed food. The problem is you have a captive snake and you throw in a live rat. Oftentimes these creatures don't even kill it, okay? And so they end up getting bit up and sometimes killed by the rat that they actually were supposed to eat. So it's not really good to do that. This snake, like I said, it would die in the wild more than likely from a predator first. When they're small, when they're babies, they're about the size of an oversized pencil. So they have no protection in their camouflage. They stick out like a sore thumb. Birds of prey, crocodiles, snapping turtles, even bass. Even bass would eat this creature when they go down into the water. Okay. It's not per se a water snake, but every living creature needs water, and they will swim. Okay. But yeah, and then other than that, the thing that would take it down would be the sun because it has no protection from the ultraviolet rays. Oh, okay. But you know, it's an animal that is desired in the pet trade because it's different. So you know, they're bred to be albino. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's pretty, huh? It's beautiful. The most feared animal in the entire world, Rosalie. Yeah, but right. Guess what? The safest animal I have out here today. Exactly. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. You know why it's the most feared animal in the entire world, right? Well. Because it's associated with the worst day the world's ever seen. Okay. Right? The fall. Mm-hmm. Exactly. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God. That's right. And ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's why the snake is the most feared animal in the entire world. Yeah. And yet, the snake is also considered to be a symbol of salvation, right? You think about Moses, when he held up the staff and they were to look in the snake's eyes, the snake on the staff, in order to be saved. And look at today, right here in our modern day world. When, you know, the Christian faith is under attack, right? Mm-hmm. But you see signs of it all over the place, right? You look at an ambulance. You look at a logo on the side of an ambulance. It's got a snake with wrapped around a staff, right? Or a veterinarian. Next time you see an ambulance, look at that logo. Mm-hmm. Or even at some hospitals, you see it as well. Yeah. I have seen that. You're right. God is all over the place. Yes, definitely. And His creation cries out His name. Yeah, that's right. And you have Him hidden from the sun? You can touch, by the way. Can I? Yeah. Okay. Do I have Him what? Oh, it's okay. He's looking at me. It's okay. He likes redheads, so you don't have to worry.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
kidding.
So soft.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Stop thinking about shoes. What was the question you were going to ask me?
Oh my God. No, about you have to have hidden from the sun because it's a
Yeah,
albine.
he can't. Now, I just told you that we're bringing out all the animals now because the weather's
Yes,
changing, and we watch the weather every single day. But as the weather gets nicer and the nights stay into the 60s and lower 70s at nighttime all night long, then we'll bring our big snakes out and leave them outside during the day so they can get natural sunlight, and then they'll be able to stay out at night as well. This creature can never be outside in the exposed to the sun because it'll kill him. He'll die eventually. He would get a type of cancer from it because he has no protection from the ultraviolet light. And see, that's the sad thing about it, is that this is an animal, being a reptile, they're ectothermic. So God designed them to utilize the sun to operate their system. You know, they bask in the sun to convert vitamin D3. They bask in the sun to run their digestive tract. So if they can't, you know, if they're not hot enough, then they don't break down the food properly. So, you know, being an albino, not only an albino snake, but an albino person, or any creature that has albinism has a you know, something to, you know, strike against them. Because, you know, we need that natural sunlight. Vitamin D3 is, I mean, vitamin D3 is essential. And, you know, they're finding out more and more that, you know, us as people are so depleted from vitamin D3 that right now it's really the big thing in health news. You know, the advancements in vitamin D3. I know you have a doctor with you today. Maybe she can expound on that a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, I take a vitamin D3 vitamin every day.
Yes.
A little bitty gel cap of vitamin D3, about 5,000 IUs.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to use that.
And I'm an outdoors person.
Yes, that's
But
right.
you know, it's very essential to our body.
Definitely. I was feeling very weak, and I didn't know, and the doctor realized that was, you know, that I need vitamin D. Yeah. Well, then we are almost at the end of the show. What would be your message for this audience who has been enjoying these wonderful animals that you have?
Preventative care as far as your pets. I mean, you know, have a good vet. Know him. My veterinarian's Dr. Dan Johnson, right here in Raleigh. Avian and exotic animal care. It's over off Fidelity Drive by the Angus Barn. If you have an exotic animal as a pet, you need to make sure that you've got a good veterinarian. He's a great guy, Dr. Eckerman, and you know, go over there and see them, and they'll take care of you. But you know, just make sure you're given the best foods available. You know, those kind of things are essential. Nutrition, you know, even for us, you know, you think, you know, you are what you eat, and that there's a lot to that. You know, God designed our bodies to function in a certain way. You know, I like to eat, you know, things that have some sweet tea once in a while too. But you know, it's very important not only what you put into your own body, but what you're putting into your pet's body.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's very important. But you know, God calls us to be a good steward of His creation. You know, we can use it, not abuse it.
Exactly.
And that's where I would point people.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Dan, it is a pleasure to have you
Oh,
today
thanks
here.
for having me again.
Oh my God, it's so wonderful.
Well, I hope you invite us back again. We'll bring
yes,
a couple
sir.
of other creatures.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, stay tuned. We will be right back after this public service announcement. We'll be having Dr. Quintana. She will be talking in Spanish format for all the audience who speak Spanish. Thank you for Dan Breeding, who has been with us, and this is the second year that he has been sharing with marvelous animals with us, and the blessing to be a creature of God and taking care of these animals. Thank you.
DanTheAnimalMan.com.